Nalini, if you could break this down for us, the Supreme Court does not recognize same-sex marriage, shifts the responsibility to the state to say that a policy change of this nature could be done by the parliament if they deem fit. And we know that the government, in its argument, the centre in its argument has said very clearly that it's unpopular request and that they've done a survey and this has largely been denounced within the Indian culture.
Yes, well, Nabila, I think the Chief Justice of India, right at the beginning of the pronouncement, put it very clearly. He said that there are certain levels and degrees of agreement and disagreement. But one thing that all 5 judges have said in the same breath is that there is no legal right to marry that exists. Specifically, it can only be a statutory right that can be granted by the parliament through the enactment of law, and a judicial pronouncement is not the way to grant a legal right to marry. So keeping that in mind, it comes as a small setback to the queer communities, because the Supreme Court has categorically said that there is no recognized right to marry. And keeping that in mind, they've also gone ahead and said, now these are the aspects on which the bench has disagreed. While on one hand, the Chief Justice of India as well as Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul have, despite saying that there is no right to marry, gone ahead and said that there is a right to cohabit, there is a right to civil unions, and most importantly, they've said that queer couples, even though not married, should be allowed to adopt children, and stopping them from being allowed to adopt children is a violation of their fundamental rights. But at the same time, what Justice S. Ravindra Bhatt, Justice Hema Kohli as well as Justice P.S. Narasimha, who seem to agree on most of the aspects, have said before during the pronouncement is that the right to adoption cannot be granted. At the same time, they've also said that the right to civil union is a right that is already recognized under the Constitution, so there is no requirement for a judicial pronouncement on that aspect. But at the same time, all 5 judges in the same breath have said not only is there no right to marry, but also the fact that there should be absolutely no discrimination against the LGBTQ community. The queer people should have a right to cohabit, live and choose their partner as recognized under the Constitution. In fact, the Chief Justice of India has gone to the extent of saying that under Article 15 that deals with prohibition against discrimination, he says that the word sex should be read as sexual orientation, which means that nobody should be allowed to discriminate against you on the basis of your sexual orientation. It's, of course, that's something that's been said earlier by the Supreme Court in the right to privacy judgment, and at the same time also in the Section 377 judgment back from 2018. But a significant landmark judgment coming in for the Supreme Court, even though right to marry has not been granted to the LGBTQ community in India. But the Supreme Court categorically recognizes that they have a right to cohabit, they have a right to choose their partner, and most importantly, there should be no discrimination against them either by the authorities or by the police. In fact, the police should take specific measures to go ahead and protect the LGBTQ community.
Well, this certainly comes as a disappointment, Nalini, to the LGBTQ community. They've been fighting for decades, but certainly a step closer. There's been extensive arguments, in fact, months of a debate that happened on the same issue. So let me cut across to Aneesha. Mathur is also tracking the Supreme Court's developments on same-sex marriage. Aneesha, what's the environment there along the court premises? Are there people within the LGBTQ community who are in attendance to watch this live? What's their feedback?
Well, we've seen a large number of persons from the LGBT community, their families, all of them congregating here in the Supreme Court lawns, watching the verdict, reading every sentence very carefully. And it seems that they're not, well, while they are disappointed that the court has not recognized marriage, they do recognize that this is an important step. I'm also being joined by Pranav, who's an activist, who's a counselor as well in the community. Pranav, how do you see this verdict? Court falling short of recognizing marriage, in fact, putting it on the government to create some sort of a committee, some sort of law?
See, I would say that the verdict was very, diplomatic, because they wanted every party to be happy. One party wanted not to get it legalized. They got, what they wanted. We also wanted some rights to get it recognized. So we also got that. We got nominee rights. We got, that my partner can claim my body after I die. I also have, I can go to the police and I can talk about what happens with me, if something happens with me in public. So I am trying to focus on the positive side. Yes, it was a diplomatic decision, but if I would, focus on the negative side, what am I taking home with me? Nothing, right? With this way, I'm taking some rights with me home. So, you know.
So you're taking the right to at least not be prosecuted and persecuted.
Exactly. I am taking the right that I can adopt a child with my partner. Finally, my mom will be happy कि वो दादी बन सकती है. So I am.
That is for Kara to create a regulation.
But I'm still, I'm still hoping. I'm not keeping any expectations, because if I would keep expectations, I would, eventually end up hurting myself. So I'm having some hope, because आज से 5 साल पहले I had no hope कि, I would even get decriminalized in the society, but I got eventually. So if that happened, this can also happen.
All right. Thank you very much, Pranav. So very clearly, the members of the LGBT community taking it as a positive that at least some recognition has been given. Remember, the Supreme Court in its verdict has said that there is no right to marry, but there is protection, there is a right against discrimination, and it is now for the government, for the state, for the parliament to create the kind of laws, create the kind of regulations that are necessary to give these rights to persons from the LGBT community. We're also waiting for some of the petitioners and the lawyers to come out from the court. But what we see as a key takeaway here really is that the members of the community who are here are seeing this as a positive move, that at least the 5 judges have said that there is a right against discrimination, that there are directions given to the police, to the state, to sort of create rules and regulations against discrimination.
India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% news that matters. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV. India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% news that matters. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV. India's #1 political reporter.
Defines what seems to be happening, vendetta politics. कोई दूध के से धुला हुआ नहीं है.
Unmatched eye, unmatched experience.
The world has changed. My black hair has become grey as well.
And with unmatched passion for the story.
Do not monopolize the conversation.
When it's 100% news that matters. It's News Today with Rajdeep Sardesai. Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Only on India Today TV.